Now, I just want to explain that a lot of this is based on my experience. I have to take my experience for what it is as the real. And I can analyze it, and I can look at my interpretation of it and try to reason out my truths and falsities that I tell myself about my experience. But I realize that ultimately we need to relate to each other for our realities to surface, to share our realities, to give them expression, and then in their expression we have an experience of them. And when in relationship to another person expressing their experience to us, we are informed of a reality that is not our own, though we can sympathize with it, which is very important. Sympathy is very important. Empathy is even greater, I think, where we can empathize instead of just pitying another person as in sympathy. We can actually feel with empathy the what is transpiring within them. And this leads me to a very important experience that I had yesterday. I met one of my elders randomly. Hadn't seen him in a few days, a couple weeks, 10 days. And he said, I want to see you tomorrow. We'll talk some more about this, because I was sharing this about sharing this to him along with some other things that I've been studying and realizing. And then later in the afternoon, I knew he was thinking about me at 3:30. I've had this experience before, but I knew he was thinking about me at 3:30, around between 3 and 4, and I knew he was doing it again at 7. And then I had a friend come over after that, and we were doing some weights and doing our circuit training and stuff. And I told him, I said, I know this is going on. Now this other friend of mine, paranoid schizophrenic, he's been diagnosed with. And so concerns of other people's thoughts controlling his mind is something that has challenged him greatly, to the point of where he's needed to get professional medical help and be medicated for it. And I told him, I said, I know you've got this idea, and I know your doctors tell you certain things, and that you try to regulate it with your medication, but I know this is going on in me. I know this guy is doing it. I know he's thinking about me. And I gave him another example of another guy who also happened to be involved in the judicial process. He was a lawyer. And this other elder of mine actually was in charge of prisons in my state for a time. 64,000 employees under him. So there's a linkage there with legalities, and I've hinted towards him. It's just about definition, coming to terms with our definitions of things, our interpretations. But that's a sidebar. Anyway, this other guy that was a lawyer, I told him, you were thinking about me last night at 7 o'clock. And you were with a woman that wasn't your wife. You went out to dinner or something. Blew him away. He was like, you're right, and don't tell my wife that I was with her. After that, he started limiting his contact with me. I could feel his consciousness shut off at that point. He understood that I had extrasensory modes of perception. I don't understand them. I know I put myself on the chopping block to be, cut into pieces by people's critical analysis by sharing such things. But lo and behold, last night, after my friend left, after I told him about, I knew this guy was thinking about me, and I also told him, I said, I also know that there's some people's minds I just have to throw out. I don't need to be in their craniums because it's just a mess in there. But so what I was telling him was that I have to take conscious willed control to understand my own limits and what I can deal with and what I can't, especially when it comes to other people's, thoughts about me and about the world and stuff. It's just beyond me. Let them live their life. But that elder called me at about 10 o'clock at night, and he said, I won't be able to make it. I've got something I got to do, so let's go for Thursday instead of tomorrow. And I said, were you thinking at me between 3 and 4 and around 7 o'clock about calling me and telling me about this stuff? And he said, yeah, I was. So in relationship to, I think it's pretty clear what I mean, that this divine love is a very honest rendition of our experience. And it's our egos that can try to cloud our perspective and interpret what we experience differently than what really happens.